Yeah, looks like we're on.
Yeah, it actually, there we go. And once the eyeball comes, it shows us as live. Well, welcome everybody. Uh, we are getting started today with an awesome interview that I get to have with Will Russ. Will and I have been working together in the Authentic Man for, I think the last 6 months and it's
Mhm.
been just such an awesome journey and partnership to come together. And I'm just really excited to be able to well, one, just be able to share Will and the work that Will is up to in the world, and really just to have a conversation about the experience that's been created at this point. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Will, in terms of just anything that you want to introduce about yourself, or just yeah, just share with folks who might be checking in on this live, or checking out the replay later.
For sure. Yeah. Hey, hello everybody. Will Russ. Like Andrew said, I've been working with him for about 6 months. When I first signed up, I was a little nervous to be a part of his program and be a part of of accelerating myself beyond where I was at that point in time. And but it's something that I'm really grateful that I was brave enough to do. And so when Andrew and I first met, I was at a crossroads in my life about just moving forward with the things I wanted to do and how I wanted to live and the things I wanted to express and just feeling like a strong man. And so I'd been doing all these things, all this music. I'm a music producer. I work in the community, like a family preservation worker is my title, and I help families. But I had been at a stall point where I hadn't gotten beyond a certain level of success that I was afraid to go beyond, and so Andrew really has helped me discover just the little parts of myself and the nooks and crannies that have been unexplored in my life and in my personality and just all of my problems and issues that I've been facing as well that I pushed to the side. So Andrew has really helped me stand in my light and shine a light on everything about myself to really get to know who I am and where I'm at and 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 the biggest part of all of this work that I've done with him is that I've been able to really step into believing in myself a lot more. And so before this work, I was just freezing up and not going forward with the dreams that I was or not fully committing to them. But since we've done this work, I've gone far beyond that where I've ever thought I could go. And so we were just talking before we started this interview that about the projects that I have going on. I won a big music grant that allows me to record local Haida ancestry. I'm Haida from Haida Gwaii, and so there's a whole kind of language program and repatriation program, and also like to doing our culture in a modern way to preserve our culture. And so I've suddenly become a bigger part of that. I've been able to record an entire album with one of our most prominent and powerful singers, in Donnie Edenshaw. And so we just released his album within 2 weeks. We recorded it in one night. We mixed and mastered it in another night, and then released it a week after it was done. So now it'll be on Spotify and all streaming services within the next week. And so we have a prominent artist with traditional Haida art being featured on platforms that'll be heard globally. And so, and just even on a smaller scale here on Haida Gwaii, there's the people are super excited about what's going on. He's been able to get I can't he's gotten I think maybe 25 or 30 sales already, and we just released the album on Sunday through Bandcamp. And so people are like just in big demand. They really want his music, and so we'll be pressing up some CDs. People want CDs, and he'll be selling it at his store. He's also a very skilled and gifted carver as well. So
Hmm.
very prominent guy in our community, and so he was very proud and very excited and happy to be able to finally have his own album of Haida music that people could be a part of. He's also recently stepped into his
Will,
role.
you okay if I pause you here for a sec?
Yeah, sure, sure, yeah.
So, with just one thing, because I just really want to touch on, like, and I love that you're sharing about this man, right?
Mhm,
And it's easy to forget, yourself in that process
for
and
sure.
what
Yeah,
you stepped into and created to actually make this possible, right?
yeah.
And so I really, want to highlight you in this conversation as well, because like all of what led to that has been what you've created here, both in the time that we've worked together, but even beyond that, right? Even
Mhm,
before that, you were doing, work like this and really immersing yourself. And so, if you're open to it, I'd love to just highlight that more, and really highlight you, because you know, that's the X factor in all of this, really.
mhm. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I've also, I've been in music for years. I've been releasing music independently for a long time, and I'm working with a lot of people here and making
Hmm.
things happen. And so it's just becoming more magnified now since we've started
Totally.
this work, and I've stepped into it more in a way where I'm confident and excited
Hmm.
and wanting to share my essence with people. And that's one of the things about this work that we discovered. It was my essence, which is, elder, light, warrior, connection, play, were the things that I discovered about myself just talking with you and working on stuff. And so, um, getting to know myself has been, a really a great exercise, and also it's been easier for me to share that with people now that I have a good definition of who I am and what I represent. And so it's yeah, I've done this stuff, but it was more in the shadows, more hidden. But now I'm freely expressing it, showing it, and there's a lot of people in the community that are really grateful and excited about that stuff that's happened and that I've worked really hard to make happen with Donnie. And I asked him a couple of weeks ago if he'd be willing. He was excited, and then I just kept pushing to make it happen. I reached out to Joey Styles, who's a famous Aboriginal hip hop and just a pop artist that's just really prominent within the Aboriginal community. And he lives here in Haida Gwaii. I asked to use his studio and if he'd be willing to do that with us, and he was, and we made that happen. And so just doing bigger and more things towards the goals that I want to achieve rather than keeping it small scale and making myself small. Like that was something um, I really uh, needed to shine a light on a lot more, shining a
Yes.
light, and then shining my own light towards the community and towards everybody else, and not being afraid of sharing that. And so I feel like it's just the beginning. I know we've been working together for the last 6 months, but we've had several breakthroughs within my own personal life and who I am and the way I express myself and how I stand up with my partnerships, with the people that I work with daily, and just just becoming more assertive and uh, less passive aggressive,
Hmm.
and just what am I trying to say? I'm trying, yeah, just uh, there's something about standing in your own power that really
Hmm.
makes life a lot easier. Giving yourself giving yourself like a structure and a foundation allows you to move forward without second guessing everything that's going on and stalling and stopping. So yeah, so I have a number of musical projects that I've released, but now I'm more brave about sharing it with others and sharing it in our own
Hmm.
community and stuff like that. And another thing too, I was thinking about how I wanted to contribute to my culture and to my people and to just the world in general. And I've been a part of a movie called The Edge of the Knife, which is a movie about preserving our Haida language. And so I was one of the main characters in the movie who actually spoke the most and had the most lines to memorize. And so that's something I'm really proud of, but I don't share enough of. And
Yes.
so um, And so, yeah, and so I want to share that more with people around the world. It's been,
Hmm.
yeah, I've already been successful, but like standing and appreciating it and expressing it, and sharing it, and showing it to others has been something I've been uh, shy about or felt. Um, I can't. It's hard to put it into words. What I just yeah, like feel worried about how people would perceive me, like if I
Totally.
was, well, they think I was arrogant or other things, but no, it's just I just happily share and happily myself on a
Yeah.
daily
Well,
basis.
and if you mind if I speak to that, right? Like
Yeah. Mhm.
the um the the beauty of what you're speaking to in this conversation so far has really been like the outcomes of what's been created from you doing this work, right? Like
Mhm.
you were very already very much out in the public. You were connected to your community, and the thing that you're speaking to is like the natural tendency of human beings is sort of to like kind of play in the shadows, sort of dim our light a little bit. Like we're still out there, but like we don't want to be too arrogant or too
Mhm.
boastful. And the thing that I really hear you speaking to is like really tapping into your authentic self. Like really just allowing your gifts to shine. And that's really what's being created here is like you've 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 really just elevated your presence, your capacity, your creativity, your ability to like bring people together. Like that's really what I hear is like what you're up to, which is
Mhm.
powerful to be able to stand in that because it really does require a new way of being, like a new way of actually being with people and being with yourself to be able to create that dynamic.
Mhm. Yeah, and yeah, and it's thanks to the work that we've done together. You've constantly challenged me, and that's been it's been good for me. It's been, I've embraced it, and like sometimes it's really hard to face some of the challenges and work
Mm,
through them. And but at the end of the road, when when if you get to a certain point, there's a sense of accomplishment and growth that I felt like I couldn't achieve on my own. That's the biggest reason why I reached out to you. I was
mhm,
stuck in a certain place, and now I feel like I'm more mature, I'm more patient, I'm more understanding for the most part, and I'm still growing. It's only been a few months of doing this work, and so I feel like I will keep expanding and keep getting into a place of being an elder. It's a goal of mine, but it's also you can't be an elder just by getting old. You have to gain wisdom and
right.
knowledge, and you have to work towards it actively and be get humbled and make mistakes and have something that's worth teaching to others when you get to that point.
Mm,
And so I feel like I've gotten stepped away from the fear that I was feeling a lot of most of the time, and just went for it mostly.
yeah.
And I'm still getting things figured out. We're working on my business plan for my music studio and the realities of that, and the level of dedication that needs to be put in there, and also the level of planning and being logical and realistic has been helpful as
Mm,
well.
mhm,
Yeah, and
mhm.
helping me kind of scale back down into what's in front of me instead of the giant big picture that I see 20 years down the road or whatever. And so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
So,
just for some context, so
yeah.
what you're speaking to is like one of the processes that we go through in this program is really creating what's called a project and creating a process to really be help support you be the creator of your life, right? Not just like,
Mhm.
hey, this is what I want in the future and we'll see if I get there, but actually being the creator of that thing now. And what I can speak to from the experience with you is like in that initial process, you could see the long-term vision, you could see what it is that you're moving to, you really wanted to create in your life, but it was the steps in between, and also even like some of those initial steps that you put in place, they were quite big in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so if you even just think about life, like, from that place of sort of just like approach, I'm making it confusing, but like think back to like life before we had that conversation, right? When you set out to create some big goals and go after them right on the outside set, like what inevitably would happen?
yeah. You kind of start procrastinating, start feeling like it's too much, and you don't know where to start, and then
Yeah.
you start floundering in the process. And so it was easier to break it down into smaller pieces, break it down into months, break it down into numbers that actually made sense for the time
Hmm.
frame. And so, yeah, a lot of it was like, oh, okay, a reality check, and but
Yes.
also it was exciting because it made it easier and more accessible to being achieved. And so, yeah,
Totally.
instead of being way out there and trying to reach for something that's just way beyond reality until it made those little steps to get there.
Totally. Because
Yeah,
like what you're speaking to is
mm,
like it's still like there's still a push there. It's going
yeah,
to require something of you to generate what needs to be generated in this project that you're up to,
mhm,
right? In terms of music production.
mhm,
But by actually making it, it's sort of that age old thing. It's like if we really throw something out there that is we can throw out things that can be pretty big, right? And go
mhm,
after them. But if it's such a big reach, the likelihood is going to be small that we actually get there, right?
yeah,
But you take these small steps, you create
mhm,
that momentum, and then eventually you're there, right? So really cool what you're speaking to. Now, I want to come back, because it's kind of interesting. Like we most of the conversation so far, we sort of focused on like what's been created, but
yeah.
if we go back to where we started, the thing that I would be curious about is like what were you expecting sort of stepping into this coaching space? And, like, how did it go in the initial stages? Like, just what were you present to?
I think, well, when I first signed up, I missed our first initial meeting because I was nervous about it, and my I think when I was first starting out with you, I was expecting that I would fail the process,
Mm,
and so that was one of the first things we talked about was I have this really I could start really fast. I could get a lot of energy going, but then I falter and then don't complete something. And so that was
mm,
something that was right away when we first started that was hitting me before we even had our first conversation. And
mhm,
so I was worried that I wouldn't be able to be accountable to the work
mm,
that we were doing, and I knew you weren't going to let me not be accountable. So, like that was the first thing that we had started, and so I feel that was really frightening to kind of be faced with that right away, faced with my stuff that I try to push away. We all try to push away parts of ourselves that we don't like, and try act like it's not there or like it's not a
totally.
problem or an issue. And you're willing to point those out and 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 challenge people to look at them and work with them and see how they affect you during the week, and then take note of it, and it really helps the healing process. And so
Mm,
I started once I got over that, I started to be more open to sharing other stuff that I was struggling with, and
mhm,
because I because it's something I'd grown beyond, which I never thought I would. So
yeah,
and yeah, and I didn't know. Yeah, I had less faith in myself. I didn't believe in myself when we first started, and I'd done so many other things where I couldn't get beyond those points, and so I was worried that I'd just be wasting your time and my time. And but as we've gone, I've been able to get beyond so many of those core things that I've had be a problem my whole life, and so
yeah.
yeah, and so yeah.
I mean, it's so beautiful what you're speaking to, right? Because this work, really we can get to the heart of things really quickly,
Mhm,
but it requires partnership, right?
mhm,
Because just as much as you're saying, like, we dove in, right? there could be others who would really resist
Mhm.
and would push back. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but like that is one thing that you've always brought into the space, is a willingness to look, a willingness to be coachable, a willingness to just reflect on, like, hey, this is the dynamic, like this is how it impacts me, like this is what's really showing up for me. And like that's been such a beautiful thing, because it's allowed us to really, like, hey, we don't have to bury that or minimize that or make it not matter, because it does matter.
Mhm.
But bringing it into the space allows us to work with it and really, have conversations to really dive in around those beliefs, and starting to create practices that have you specifically, like, focus on that work. And so, I mean, I really appreciate you speaking to, like, how, the partnership, the dynamic, allowed us to dive in. But again, like, that's you, that's your willingness to go there. And I think that it's who you are, your willingness, your your desire to, like, have a fulfilling life and do the work that helps create the results that you've created, which has been so powerful to see.
Yeah, thank you. And I honestly feel like I'm just getting started. Like, it just
Hmm.
feels like it's just the start. And so I'm excited to see where things can go from here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so, okay, so you kind of spoke to, like, the beginning of the process. Those are some of the things that showed up. And then what did you start to notice as we got into some of the concepts like essence and survival mechanism, and as we started to go into, like, the middle of the program, towards the end, like what was sort of happening for you?
I think when we got into the essence work, and you had me do, the really uncomfortable assignment of asking people what they thought of me, and and you asked me to do that with 10 people. I was really uncertain that I could do that with one person, but
Yes.
and so when we got to that, we did that and we determined what my essence was, which I'd said earlier, and elder light warrior connection play. I got I think a sense of contentment and more realization of the worth that I have, and started to be more calm and relaxed, and more in my day-to-day life, be around other people, not worry about what they were thinking of me, or going to, yeah, having all this anxiety. Like, my anxiety has been disappearing as we've been doing this work about just my own self-beliefs and everything. So that was really awesome. And so when we did that assignment, I started moving on from there. Start Like, things started to shift in my thinking, in my mind, and I started to become more curious about what would happen next. Um, and so by the time we got to the middle of everything, we got to the survival mechanisms, and you gave me my survival mechanisms. Hated martyr, appealing garbage, hopeless creator. Those things, they weren't as horrible as I thought they would be.
Mm,
And I accepted it, and I knew, like, okay, well, this is, now that I'm aware of these parts of myself, and you gave me the assignment to see how those affected me throughout the week. I was able to put them to every situation that I was in, and just feel more at peace and be understanding of all the situations I was in and putting myself through, and able to lean more. Like, we talked a lot about leaning into the right direction I wanted to go in, instead of leaning into all this negative stuff,
mm,
all the self-doubt and self-hate and all of this other stuff. Able to remind myself of my essence and shine towards that and lean towards that. And that was kind of a metaphor that I thought about for a while. Like, okay, which way do I actually want to lean in life? And I want to lean towards what helps me be a good person, a good leader, or a good partner, or a good father to my daughter. And so it was easy to have an answer, instead of just be floundering and floating around in my mind about, whether or not I was good enough, which was a total
Yeah.
waste of time. And so like that stuff I'm still practicing. I'm still like
Mhm.
it's still part of okay, well, what's going on here for me? What am I going through? Sometimes I screw up and forget that I need to, see what's going on in there. And then but now I'm able to pick it up a lot quicker and be like, okay, this is
Yes.
what's going on. Get back into where I want to be, and then keep moving forward. And it's easier to forgive myself for having made mistakes, which is
Absolutely. Well,
yeah,
and
yeah.
a couple of things. So, like, one, somebody listening to the survival mechanism names that you put out there, they'd be like, "Oh my god, like, what do you do?"
Yeah,
Right? And
yeah.
what Will is really speaking to is like this process of really understanding, like, what are our shadow qualities?
Mhm,
Where do we come from our fear or anxiety? And we actually name it. And by naming it, we can actually then be in the awareness of it. We can see it actually playing out in life. And so, and another place where you really, again, you've got it on your computer screen. You're
mhm,
in the awareness of those survival mechanism names. You know, that's a strength that you have, is that you're able to incorporate it into your life and really see it. You've showed
mhm,
that in multiple conversations where a lot of people, when they get the understanding of their where they come from, their ego or their survival. It's like they get it in that moment and they might practice with it for a week, and then the ego naturally wants us to sort of forget these states.
mhm,
Hey, well, I don't want you to see this. I don't want you to be aware of this. And then it's no surprise that a few months down the road, when I say, hey, this sounds like this is your survival mechanism coming up, they're like, oh, what was that again? Like,
mhm,
what was that exercise? Right.
mhm,
So really a testament to you, and really the willingness to like adapt that into your life, not just like push it away.
mhm.
Truly.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm becoming this, perfect being or anything, but I'm able to just show and experience the difficulties that I've gone through in my life, and the mistakes I'm making, and I'll always make mistakes, but I'm able to step back from that much quicker and just move forward, make amends or whatever for the things that I've done wrong or that I perceive as wrong, and just
Mm,
keep moving forward, just keep moving forward, just keep moving forward, and accepting of the imperfect being that I am, but also accepting the capabilities that I have and
mhm.
using those and expressing them and making things happen with my skills. And so, yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
It's amazing
mm,
to see both sides of it, right? Like you
mhm,
said, like being able to accept the imperfections, the humanity of who you are, but
mhm,
also to embrace the immense possibility, the immense creation, like the just the essence of who you are. Like this is it's so much showing up in all of the work I do right now in terms of just tapping into that, both sides, right?
mhm,
Just being at peace, being able to flow through life and being content with who we are.
mhm,
So really beautiful. Thanks for speaking to it.
for sure.
We'll start to sort of wind down from here, but just from where you're at now, I'd love for you to share like what's next for you. Like, what are some of the things that you're wanting to create or bring into your life?
Yeah, I mean, the possibilities are really endless. I think with the success I've had with this grant, uh, I um, I want to keep this record label that I'm developing going. I want to provide more opportunities for artists that have never been heard or afraid to have their voices out there, to coach them through that process, and lean more into the skills that I'm developing and using that towards making it a business for myself. There's so many things that I want to have happen. I'm also like an actor. I want to do acting and all that kind of stuff, and so like the possibilities are huge. I have I have some albums I have to create that have been sitting in the in the kind of dustbin that need to be taken out and finished, and so I've been working towards that. And then just yeah, just I feel like I'm just at the start of things, and so
Mm,
I feel like I'm going to accomplish stuff that I never even dreamed of yet, and so
amazing.
and it's exciting. yeah, I just feel like with my work, with my music and the business and everything, I'm just starting to get an understanding of what real like confidence is about that kind of stuff. And so work, yeah, like with the work that I'm doing, I'm feeling so much more at ease because it is a tough job, and stepping into where into tough situations with clients and people and stuff like that. It's just more smooth and easier, and so I'm looking forward to see as I progress with this training and the skills that I've been unlocking in myself that what'll happen next. I'm more excited about work. I'm more excited about life. Yeah, just yeah. I have an eventual vacation that I have to go on, but maybe I keep pushing it back, or we keep pushing it back, my partner and I.
Yeah,
And yeah, but just yeah, just skill building and mastery of my skills, and just continuing to push forward. Uh,
it's creating that zest for life, right? I
yeah,
remember that
yeah,
in one of our first
mhm,
couple conversations, right? Like
mhm,
just bringing the play, the
mhm,
fun, into what you're doing as well,
yeah,
so that's
yeah,
excellent. Now,
yeah,
I've got 2 links that I'm gonna
mhm.
be sharing with folks. I've got the Spotify link for your page and also the Bandcamp page. Can you just speak to, those specifically, about Carving Shed Studios, and then, anything else that you just want to share that people can connect with you on, or check out?
Yeah, okay, well, okay, so I started putting my music on Spotify a couple of years ago, and I'm just I do hip hop music, and I create just positive hip hop music. If you listen to my lyrics on the Persevere album, I wanted to. It took me about a year and a half to make that album, just because I
Mm,
wanted it to be authentic as possible and as real as possible. Because sometimes hip hop is just all about machoism and aggressive masculinity and all that kind of stuff, and I wanted to have something that was more real. And so I do a lot of I do every kind of style of hip hop. So if you listen to all of my music, there's all kinds of different styles and versions of stuff that I do. And so it's just like a passion of mine to sit and do that kind of music. And so with my Bandcamp, that stuff is it's all the same stuff that's on Spotify. There's a bit more on Bandcamp
mhm.
because it's easier to get stuff on Bandcamp than it is on Spotify. There's a big process you have to go through to get
Okay.
approval for your music to get on there. But Bandcamp is more of a direct link to fans. That's easier to be connected to people and talk to people and share music with people through Bandcamp. And so I just wanted to share all of my music on there. Stuff that I've done probably 20 years ago now
Mm,
is on Bandcamp, and so I've organized that. Like all my oldest stuff is at the bottom of the page, and my newest stuff is like at the beginning, so people can
okay.
compare and contrast. And but it's all about my sound is just like I just want to make people feel good. I want to make people have
Mm,
fun and dance and party. A lot of people like and just enjoy life is the whole goal of how I make my music. And
awesome.
so yeah,
And then the other side too, because I don't want us to skip over this,
yeah,
share more about the music production side. What are you up to in terms of supporting others? And
yeah.
how can people find out more about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm currently I have one youth that I'm mentoring and teaching how to make hip hop music, or just teaching them how to be a music engineer. So I have two people that I'm working with through this grant to teach music engineering skills. So that's the recording process of music, and that's the skills you need to have to record somebody's vocals or record somebody's band or record and so I'm teaching like the music aspect of that is really complex, and it takes a
Mhm,
lot of work and a lot of study and understanding. And so I'm trying to mentor different people here on island to be able to make music more accessibly easy to record here instead of
mhm,
people having to go off island to travel. I mean, it's really hard and inexpensive to get off island to go and record music or get music mixed and mastered to other places, and so I'm
Yeah.
trying to teach other people here to do that for our local bands, but also make it so we can have a business that supports people around the world too,
Yes.
with mixing and mastering, not just locally, but
Yeah, and
um,
if somebody was
mm,
interested to find out more about your services, internationally or even on the island,
mm.
is there a specific website they can go to or a way they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, they could contact me through my Bandcamp page. I have a
Yeah.
contact in there. Also through my Spotify page. All of my stuff is like I'm easily contactable throughout all my websites. They're all linked together. I don't have an official website yet for that practice, and so we're working on that to get that together for the mixing and mastering engineer process and
Okay.
recording process. But yeah, we can do that just through my email or through my Bandcamp or through my Spotify or all of my web pages, my Facebook, my Instagram. What else do I have? I have a whole bunch of things. They're all linked together, and so
Yeah.
you'll find the big link of everything, and you'll just be able to click on it, contact me, and
Sounds good.
so yeah, and so
Excellent.
and
Yeah.
I usually respond pretty quickly, and so and that's another one of my goals is to respond quite quickly to
Yeah, and there you go. So
content.
Hayden
Yeah,
Hayden saying he has to jump off, but please drop your contact info in the comments. So we'll make sure
yeah,
that all of your information is in the comments.
mhm,
Yeah, absolutely. Check out what Will's doing because it's powerful stuff. Both on the music side of things, the music you produce, but also the music production side, and
mhm,
really, the experience that you have in music production and what it takes to get your stuff out in the world. So
mhm,
thanks for sharing that.
for sure.
Last part of the conversation, Will, can I give you some acknowledgement?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really, I mean, it's so obvious, right? Just acknowledging, the pathway that you've created here, the who you are that's generated this pathway. And I am so thankful that I've got to do this work with you. I often think about you and just like what you've been up to, these last 6 months and beyond that, right? Just the man that you are, and I feel so much gratitude for getting to be connected to you, getting to be in this experience with you, and seeing your light shine, right? You're already up to big things before we got to come into connection together. And the beauty of what I see now is what you spoke to is like that ability to be with your humanity, to be with, hey, there's times that I make mistakes, there's times that I don't show up as I want to, and allowing that to be okay. And also really championing who you are because you're a powerful human being. You truly amaze me. You amaze me with your grace, your love, your desire to like support your community at such a high level, and also just for who you are, right? Because that's all that inner being. That's all just generated from you within, and you've been a gift to me in this experience, and I don't take it lightly. I cherish the connection with you deeply.
thank you. Yeah, and yeah, you've been same for me. Your skills and just the person you are has really, brought life into me. And helped me get beyond everything that I'd ever been struggling with. So, thank you so much for that. And,
Thank you.
yeah, and I'll absorb that too and
Yes,
please. Yeah,
absorb it in.
yeah, yeah,
The
mm,
beauty is we get to continue our work too,
yeah,
and yeah, I can't wait. It's and I won't speak to it now, but I've really loved some of the conversations we've been diving into lately, and so
mhm,
it just makes me excited. It makes me
mhm,
excited to see where we go next. So
yeah,
thank you so much for doing this today. Again, everybody, if you have any questions, anything that you want us to answer after, please feel free to put it in the chat. And look out for those links as well, in terms of the Spotify, the Bandcamp, email, social media, and yeah, connect with Will, because
mhm.
he's up to some cool stuff. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.